and welcome to VFX Tutors. I'm Josh, and in this tutorial we're going to be continuing with our chainsaw. We're going to be, in this one we're going to start building just some quick zip ties to sort of fill this sort of area up, sort of connect it on. So in the previous one we made this sort of junction box, so all our cables, well not all our cables, mostly our power cables like these ones will be sort of routed round to inside here. Then we'll have some cables coming to here, just so it's a little bit tidier, so we can hide some stuff that we don't really need to sort of make. And these ones will probably, because these are for so these would be for the motor, because these are sort of these are skateboard electrical motors or something like that. You'd only have two. I think these are the power ones, and then these would be multiples. So these are just sleeves, so there'll be more cables on the inside, but that's for like the ECU, the controller board, which we don't have, so we'll probably find a home for those or cut them off or do something with them. So we only really need 2 wires from each to go into here. But anyway, yeah, for this one we're just going to do zip ties. I'm just going to make some zip ties to go around here and sort of around here, so it's just holding the battery in place, and we'll just duplicate the other ones just so it makes it a little bit more busier. Cool, so just going to go to my panels, perspective, orthographic, sorry. I think I've got this old one in here, which I don't need that anymore. Just going to select my camera, go to image plane, import image. Then I'm just going to go to my reference, and somewhere in here, there we are, zip tie. So I'm just going to hide this for now, so we can see this. And we're not going to be modelling all this sort of detail in here. This can be easily done with a bump or a normal map. So this can be a pretty quick tutorial. We're just going to make a fairly rough zip tie and place it on the model. So if I just unhide that, let's try. It's going to be a pretty basic shape. It's pretty much a cube with a huge extruded part out. So let's actually hide this. So I'm just going to create a cube. If I leave that there, just put this off to the side. And I'm just going to scale this roughly. Just sort of, it's kind of, I think that's square there. Well, it's a little bit wider. Go on, we're just going to do the same as we did before and just sort of guesstimate the position and the size. And this kind of it's good because it sort of trains your eye to see things as well. So this should be a pretty simple model. We're not going to be spending ages on it, so just going to pull that out so we sort of get this sloped part here. Control E, press R, and I can just scale up to get this hole. I'm just going to get the width. So I think it's quite close to the edge, but then it's definitely a rectangle shape with more space on the bottom, as we can see here. And we don't need to do loads of detail, we just need to, this can be extremely simple. And so we've got that kind of shape, but we actually probably do that better because we still need to extrude this out anyway, so we actually may as well, I'm just gonna roughly place those, then that's gonna extrude from there. So we may as well just actually, I know it's probably not great just to do it like this, but it means that we've got all our edge loops and we don't have to worry about it. So I can actually now delete those. Probably should have leveled it out first, but it's fine. V and snap that to there. Same for that side. So this is going to be a pretty small model. You probably won't see much of it, but in this. But it just adds a nice little detail to it. I'm just roughly getting our shape. Cool, and so I could just extrude this out all the way. And the thing is with this, I also kind of want to, I don't want to model it like all from here. I also need to model it into position as well, so to make it round. So I'm just going to model most of it now. Oh, bridge. So I'm just going to keep it basic like this for now. And we can add another cube in later. In fact, let's just do that now. So that's the sort of the clicker bit that clips down. Oh, this is pretty extreme. But you never know what you might see. It all helps. And we can just leave that as that for now. You don't want to do too much detail on that because it's just going to be pretty basic. So let's group this. And obviously we're absolutely massive. So I'm actually going to model this around where I want it. Don't hide. Scale it. So scale this way down. So I've got a rough sort of position because we're gonna have to model this around all these shapes as well. So that's why I kind of want to do it like this, because it's just going to work out better. So we could extrude this along the spline, but it might be a bit too overkill for it. So because our cables are going to be going into there, we don't want that really to get in the way too much. Oh, let's see. So let's just block this out. Press F to center on it. Just make sure that's on there. We can still extrude that out and sort of pull it around. So when you're doing this, make sure that this is smoothed, because obviously this is going to be smooth when you do it, so you don't want to do it, model all around it, then when you smooth it, it kind of doesn't work, or it doesn't fit properly. So I'm just going to make sure that before I go any further that I make sure that, because obviously because I'm rotating around, I need to make sure that these are sort of nicely rotated, otherwise it won't. It should be okay, to be honest. We're going into sort of like the really quite fine details. So this is going up through there, probably bend up a little bit. This is what stuff we got to kind of keep an eye out for. Obviously that's not going to be, it's not a natural bend, so it's probably going to we want it tight, so in fact let's control and delete that for now. Let's just put too many edge loops in there too soon, so we just want to block it out. Need to rotate this. That's going to go around here. So I definitely like to make sure that I've at least got 3 extrusions on a bend. But you can kind of, you don't have to do these sort of zip ties. It's just a tiny, like, it's just these small details that really stand out when you model something. Kind of come off a bit there. So I'm just making sure that my rotations are nice on my edge loops, so it looks natural and flowing. So let's make sure we can sort of worry about the edges a bit later. So we just extruded that all the way around. So we've kind of got this all meeting up here, but we need to make it look more natural. actually just going to pull that out the way. Because this would slightly tilted. As you pull it tighter, it won't be perfectly square. I think that'll be more closer to there. Just trying to make it look as natural as possible, just with the basic blocking. Cool. So got that roughly blocked out. So if they'd probably imagine that we can keep this long and thin if you want, because when at the end of the zip tie it kind of does thin out, but we may have clipped it. Anyway, let's just go around, and so if we press 3 now, I know it's kind of all softened out, but let's not worry about that. Let's just get these. So if I press 2, I can still see the smooth, but I can see, so you see how if I press 1 it's not smooth, and 2 it's smooth, but I can see the low res wireframe, and 3 you don't see that. So stuff like this, it's useful to select 2, so you are selecting the sort of low res vertices because you have much better control from it. Then I'm just going to push these out and make it roughly more natural. But this will change once we do the beveling. And the sort of hardening of the edges. Cool. So I'm pretty happy with that. Do want to probably put this back in there. And I think we'd probably trim this. You don't want big flappy bits of just something like that. And maybe actually just thin it off. Cool, so I'm pretty happy with that. So if we press 3, we can sort of see everything's just kind of a bit gross. So I'm actually going to Control 1 to isolate the view. We need hard edges for sure around here. And we need hard edges here. So just going to go around for all the places that we definitely need hard edges. Because this is quite a small piece, we can probably get away of doing a big bevel on it. It's not the best, but for something like this, because it's not going to be sculpted. It's probably just going to have procedural material on it. So as long as it's UV'd, okay, it should be absolutely fine. So what I'll actually do is select all of that, bar that, bevel, so if I press 3, got a nice sharper edge. It's looking much nicer, and we don't, like, thinking about it, like you could have spent ages modeling the grooves in, but you're not actually going to see them because the grooves are actually on the inside. So let's just adjust this a little bit. Just select all the edges and bevel that. It's not too much of a problem if we just do that. Cool, so we got some pretty good, just got a basic cable tie there, and that's holding that on. So what I will do is select the group. We want to put another one down here, so I'm going to Control D, and I don't want it on the bottom part. I'm not too bothered if that's... Mostly just want it on the bottom part. So I'm going to try and position it to see if I can actually save, not having to move a lot, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. Cool, so before I do anything, I'm actually just going to select those two and go to modeling, mesh, combine. I know this is just so I can keep it all together. And what I'm going to do is just delete these edges, just so there's not a huge. So I can basically I can just do this. Just push that there. I can probably push that enough there. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to modify this to fit. And if it looks too similar, we can sort of change it or put it somewhere else. So it's probably better if you do it in press 2 so you can see everything. It stops everything from looking intersected. I'm just going to work through. Just make sure none of this is sort of sinking in too much. So just trying to make it look as natural as possible. I know we'd probably also have some sort of indents here on the plastic as well, but kind of want to finish this up soonish. So we're probably going to need another edge loop there. And just adjust this so it's all starting to look more natural. Cool. We shouldn't need to do too much. Some of this inside stuff, we're almost guaranteed to never see it, but just out of sanity, it's nice just to do it. Cool, so we've got another zip tie there. And do you want to add another one? We could add another one going diagonally. I don't know if that'd be too much. We'll figure it out once we, because we've got to do the other side, so if we delete the history, freeze transforms, we could hopefully just duplicate this. And -1. Just going to freeze the transforms so it loses that minus on it. I'm just going to press 2 and just adjust. So it's actually a funny kink in here, so cool. So let's do the other side. So I hope you guys, I know we've been doing a lot of modelling, but we did a lot of match moves as well. So the whole point of this was to try and cover as much sort of the VFX process as possible, and a lot of it is a lot. Like you may not want to do modelling, but it's good to know some of it, and it will definitely help with if you just wanted to do match move. But like I say, most of the stuff on my channel is kind of just teaching you to be more of a generalist, which is pretty being a generalist these days is pretty advantageous is the word I was trying to look for. But also specializing in an area is also very advantageous, so it's kind of a catch-22. But when you're a generalist, you get to do a lot more, I think. So I'm just gonna make sure I sort of make these look natural. Just gonna duplicate this one up. Maybe one in the X. Maybe flip this around. let's not do that. Let's just keep it all the same. Because I know you kind of... A variation is good, but sometimes if you have too much variation, I don't know. If I was making this, I'd make sure it's all the same way around, just because, I don't know, OCD, I guess. It's the sort of good thing about this is you can just make this your own. This is just a guide to sort of give you some sort of skills to at least do some sort of modelling. We've got the zip ties. I think they're looking pretty good. Do we want to add any more? I don't think we do. I think that's okay. I think for this, yeah, we're pretty much... And you can add more. We may add more a little bit later, but I don't want to do it. This is a massively long tutorial. I just want these smaller things to be quite quick. But yeah, I think we're pretty much done with this tutorial for the zip ties. So if you've enjoyed this tutorial, hit that like button and subscribe for more like this.